Hey everybody, it is July 12th, and you are listening to the While We Still Can podcast. I have Tony here with me. It's Tina. Got Tony here again. Lisa, unfortunately, is having to work, but I thought that we could go ahead and start this episode off with a moment of very quick silence for our friend Ladybug. One. Okay, we're done.
Well,
But
if I wouldn't do a moment of silence, but I just don't know what because I don't think he deserves it. But I don't know what I would do a moment of the sound that ladybugs make, and I don't know what that sound is.
is it like a cicada? Maybe just the smell that what
Yes,
is the other ladybugs that are they not called ladybugs really, but they get all in the corner of my bedroom and stuff when we have the
do what you're
Okay, I live in the Midwest and
talking
every
in
couple of
Missouri.
years Okay, shut up. No, seriously, I'm gonna look it up and I'll have it by the end of this episode. But seriously, every couple of years there will be, and they look just like ladybugs, except they stink really bad, and they get in like the corner of your bedrooms and like in the corners. They swarm. I'm gonna look it up, okay?
Yeah,
But
definitely not an Illinois thing.
okay, well, it's a thing. But Ladybug, he took a quick trip. I'm gonna map out his exact movements before he got back. But he went to Ukraine, correct? And he
Hmm.
might have said a couple things that someone didn't like, and then maybe I'm just feeling like he might have drank some tea, like looking at the timing.
Hmm. Well, no, the interesting thing, Randy said maybe they sacrificed him to feed his soul to McConnell so McConnell can run another term.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're soul swapping McConnell and
Yes.
Lindsay out.
Like
Oh
a
God.
Chucky and the
Yeah.
Bride movie or something. Who the hell knows? I mean, uh, I'll say it clearly here. I have zero doubt whatsoever that Mitch McConnell is holding hands with Lindsey Graham in hell right now, because that's
They are on the bus together on their way down. But it's interesting that they're letting, like, maybe the cat was already out of the bag with Lindsay, but like Mitch, like we all know, and we know that Andy Bashirs has until August 3rd to fill that seat. Otherwise, there's no one in that seat until the November election. So,
and one thing with that too is you've got Kentucky, where Mitch McConnell's from, and Andy Bashir is the Democratic governor. And you've got South Carolina, where Graham is from, and the governor there is a Trump-supporting Republican. So that kind of makes a little sense in terms of just their willingness to show Lindsay's. It's still shocking to me. I did not expect Lindsey Graham just to drop dead, but but it goes to show you that they're comfortable with the fact that the Republican governor is going to do whatever's necessary to protect Trump, whereas they know in
that makes
Kentucky,
sense.
Kentucky
I
that's
didn't.
not the same thing. And so with Kentucky, they're holding on for dear life because they know they can't let the man on the bank. I go back to when they were trying to get Kavanaugh uh, appointed into Supreme Court. Literally, Mitch McConnell said to Republicans, just plow through. And that's how when 4,500 tips went from the FBI to the White House, and from the White House, they went nowhere.
Yep. And
And
now that motherfucker is making laws in a country that is not protecting your rights. So
yes,
who would have thought that a man that had how many calls did you say were how many tips did you say for Kavanaugh?
4,500 tips. And they never interviewed any of his accusers. The FBI,
So, okay,
yes.
it's kind of like the Epstein thing. It's like, okay, you're like there's no evidence in there. I'm like, but 4,500 times, but nothing happened.
Well, and
Nothing. Not
here's
one.
where, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but here's where I get really pissed off about it is these things continue to happen, and they're allowed to continue to happen. And it's the same thing we're dealing with Mitch McConnell right now. Is Mitch McConnell should be pronounced dead. I mean, did you see the video that they had of them putting him into the ambulance? There's no sense of urgency. he was wrapped up in an orange type of blanket. You can't see it real well, but it definitely appears as if they're taking a body out and putting and transporting a body to a facility, not a man who just was resuscitated after having a heart attack and having been found unconscious. I mean, it's
Yeah,
very
that's a very messy situation, having been in multiple codes before. There is vomit and blood and it's nasty. So the fact that I mean, and you know, what if he fell down the stairs? Maybe there wasn't the urgency with that. But we have all these other details like old wifey went back to get her next orders from China,
yeah.
and
Why,
then
let's just make sure everybody understands that because not everybody. I found is not everybody has the same information we have, so it's
I
important we
know,
share
I'm sorry.
context. And so 3 days after this incident with Mitch McConnell, Elaine Chao, who used to be, just so if, for those of you who don't know, she's his wife, and she used to be the Department of Education secretary under President Trump during the first term.
Was it education or
Oh, no,
transportation?
transportation. I'm sorry,
Okay.
transportation. And her family, just for context purposes, in China owns a large cargo shipping com- company. So nothing to see there. I don't have time for that deep dive, but maybe somebody else does. And 3 days after this incident, where her husband is in critical or whatever condition they want to tell us he's in, rather than actually being dead, which we know, she thought,
Is he talking on the phone to what Scott Jennings
yeah,
and all
20
them? The
minutes.
20-minute call.
And
That was
yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
it's so obvious. It's ridiculous. Their criminality is transparent. They aren't transparent about the truth, but what they're doing is completely transparent. And that's what I keep saying is even our own elected leaders. You have to. I just saw a post from Cory Booker where he's praising Graham for when he was with him, and fuck you, fuck all that. I'm sorry, but
Absolutely.
where we're at, we do not have time to sit here and go, this horrible fucking human being that was stuck up Trump's ass and made our lives worse has any benefit of having been a good person in the past. This is about who you are now and who you are at your end. I digress.
Well, okay. Who died recently that they were like, "Oh shit, there's no more NDA." Clive Davis.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so same thing is happening online for poor
Great.
Lindsey Graham. Okay, so there is quite a few people. You know, we talked about the ladybug thing, that some escorts that allegedly had he had some skin tags in some areas, and there was a certain escort that was like, I am not going down there, and he's like, oh, you know what, don't worry about my ladybugs.
My
So
ladybugs.
what? Okay, so James is smiling. This is an account on this is Instagram, but this follower is claiming, just woke up to find out Lindsey Graham is dead. Most of you know him as the homophobic senator from South Carolina, but to me, he will always be the man who paid a Twinkie pre-transition college student, with a little hand raised emoji, so I'm guessing that is James is smiling, a fat stack of cash to do unspeakable things to him in a hotel room while he wore red lingerie. It is a canon trans event to have far right freaks bankrolling you and then turning around and voting against you. People love to judge us for it, but I never see them opening their wallets. Shout out to the sex workers everywhere forced to humanize their enemies just to make rent. It is an absolute mindfuck, too, that one of the reasons I have any semblance of financial security is because of this man. At the time, I had no idea who he was, and I figured it out because another group or twinks leaked Lady G to the media. So, I'm feeling
Well,
good. Again, are we going to do anything about it? He's already fucking dead.
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, the hypocrisy of the Republican Party and a lot of their leaders being closeted homosexuals. This is not speculation whatsoever. This is verifiable fact. You can look at, Peter Thiel, is known for hiring rent boys for orgies and stuff like that. That's well documented. You've got, Lindsey Graham and the Ladybug stories, and I've seen other stories. I've actually reached out to some of those people. Online because I'm trying to get the information from them. And then you've got multiple others that have been accused, or just the fact that whenever there's an RNC grinder crash
Grinder.
in that city, I'm a gay man. I know what all that shit, and
Yeah.
it just is what it is. And they live this, and then Marco Rubio, I just read, and I don't want to digress, go off onto another tangent here, but Rubio, I just read how he is actually the viceroy of Venezuela and is essentially running that country right now and managing their money. I don't know if you haven't seen that, obviously, but
I have not. No.
yes, but basically last night the New York Times did an article where he's essentially the leader of Venezuela by proxy, sitting in a chair in Washington, and the person who they have running the country now. I think it was that woman that gave the Peace Prize to Trump. Remember that?
Yep. Yep.
Actually, uh, all her appointments, all the money spent, everything goes through Marco Rubio.
So not only is our administration raping our government completely out of money, it is doing its colonialism thing and doing it in other countries. But we're not even taking it over or like trying to do anything good there at all. We're just fucking stealing their money.
Yeah,
It
taking the
seems
money
like
for
it.
the oil. Well, and the other thing with that is, you've got the Cuba situation, you've got the Panama situation, you've got the Greenland situation. I mean, I don't. None of this is hyperbole. None of this is me trying to be sensational. The writing's on the wall in terms of what Trump is trying to do in North America and South America. You've got Argentina, where Peter Thiel just relocated himself to, so to me, everybody's like, oh, he's escaping to Argentina. No, to me, they're ready to take over the Western Hemisphere.
Did you see who is the president elect of Colombia? I
No,
think he's a super far right wing guy too. I'm gonna
of
check on
course.
that. But
Well, in South America, notoriously, and historically has benefited from white supremacy in some way. And, Argentina was a known nation where Nazis went to. And, you've got Chile, same thing. And Chile is heavily influenced by Japan as well. There's a lot of worldwide things going on here that people don't understand in terms of the larger scale picture of what they're trying to accomplish, you know. And
and it's showing you that when okay, yes, America, as I've come to find out, kind of is the bad guy, and but also like as far as democracy went, or like I mean, I guess maybe it was all a lie and this isn't true, but it does seem to be when the facade of American democracy fell or is falling, the rest of the world was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm out. And so it was a smash and grab, which I'm seeing on every level of my life. The
yes,
smash and grab. I mean, I don't employment employers. I'm hearing this from people seeing management be like, "Oh, smash and grab." Local governments, state governments, because there is no
there's no control.
respect anymore in
There's no
any.
yes, and as long as you align yourself with the bad guys, they're actually not only going to let you get away with it, but in some cases, if they can benefit, they're going to actually help promote what you're doing.
Absolutely. But for now, because you are going to be a part of the system, they have to crash it so they can come in and fix it. And their way of fixing it is going to be way fucking worse than it was when it started. And it's probably not even going to involve us in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
So,
well, and you're absolutely right. I just watched something yesterday where Elon Musk was talking with a couple people, and they were basically saying you shouldn't even worry about your retirement anymore. Retirement doesn't mean anything.
I
And
feel like I know that in my soul, anyways. But
look what they've done with a lot of the retirement accounts now. They've actually pushed them without your actual acknowledgement pretty much into a risky situation where your money's going to disappear. Your savings, what you're counting on, that what you spent decades working towards is going to disappear because they're going to control it, and essentially they're then going to control you. And that none of this is sensational, none of this is hyperbolic. The writing is completely on the wall based off of things they do every single day. And the only thing that's going to change this is when we finally say enough is enough.
and it's got to be like a lot. And
Yes.
there's going to be and we also now have a surveillance system completely. I
So
mean,
yeah, there's two things that are going on. One of two things is happening right now. We know that all these billionaires and millionaires are building bunkers all over the world and islands and all this other stuff. But I honestly don't think that it is necessary in terms of if they're anticipating a cataclysmic event that we're unaware of, which I've read up on a lot of stuff going on, and I've shared information with you. There's the possibility of a cataclysmic event that would literally be world ending.
I yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
restart from the beginning, I guess.
Yes, and uh, they may be building these if they're doing on their effort to impute are futile unless they have some heads up about when it's actually going to occur. But even being in those spaces isn't necessarily going to be enough to protect them if we're going to have that type of event, which would basically end the world as we know it. And it is a very real possibility based off of certain scientific information that's out there. And that could be the main one of the reasons they're acting this way is just grab as much as you can before it's all over. And I go back to when Bill Barr said at one point in the past in an interview, he said, everybody dies. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the way he said it was not a matter of fact in terms of we all die at some point. To me, it was very,
Not like a what Joni Ernst, is that what her name
yeah,
was?
yeah,
E- Everybody dies.
yeah. It very much was a matter of fact that at some point when an event occurs, everybody dies. And that was the way I took it. It could be my biases based off of information. But then the other possibility, besides a catastrophic event that's going to take all of us basically in a practical instant or within hours, is the
I'm
possibility.
zero right here, please. Thank you.
There's the possibility of uh, 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 AI controlled state by tech oligarchs, where they're creating these cities and they are creating these cities all over the world that they ultimately are going to be surveillance states. And if you're in the inn, you're going to be able to tokenize your existence in a way, like a way of the movies in the future, where, like in China, they have a system that, if you do bad things, you fall lower
A
on
social credit
yeah,
score.
social credit. And this is what they're planning on doing under this large super surveillance, which we're seeing being put in place. And they're essentially going to control all wealth, all power, all all economic industries. And we are going to be slaves to that unless you join them and help promote what they do going forward to maintain their control. And then the rest of everybody is going to be left out to dry. So you're gonna it's almost dystopian in a way where you might have you know these shining cities of technology, and then in the rural areas are all the destitute people.
Yeah. The
Because they're
people with the ladybugs in their fucking corners of their bedrooms.
so who knows?
Um,
And I don't want to be apocalyptic or anything, but we're in literally crazy end times historic
well,
period. Not even counting nukes.
yeah, they're fucking really trying to recreate them. They're like, it's got to be like the book, okay?
Hmm.
Um, well, what was I gonna say? Oh, the what you're painting to me is kind of like what the pictures that I see of like Dubai or
Yes.
like large African capital cities and then the slums on the outside. That's what that's what they have envisioned for us
And
if
again,
we don't go along with what they want. And I feel like the all the CIA shit that they've been doing for 60 years is like was the phase to prep our minds. Sorry, I'm going woo woo.
no, I
But
agree. I think you're right there with it, is the system that we live in, the matrix, so to say. And again, I don't want to sound spiritual, but there's a whole lot of evidence leading to all of this is the television. Why does Pluto TV or even NBC last night have 1 minute of airtime that they just waste on the screen with weird music? Have you seen that? But and why is but there's, I don't want to say subliminal messages, but they
frequencies can put you in a state of hypnotic mind, which is exactly what these people are using to do all this terrible shit.
exactly, as long as we are lulled into complacency, they're going to keep getting away with all of this. And anybody I talk to tonight, people are waking up. I see it, but you know, anybody you talk to, they have no idea of even some of the basic shit that is going.
I
It's
know.
insane. Because they're just trying to live their lives. They don't want to be bothered by it, or they don't have the right information in front of them. You know,
And it's very much that I don't do politics or I don't do it because I can't. And I'm like, it's doing you. It is going to do you every time you go to the grocery store. When you try to pay your energy bill, and it's twice as much because they subsidize the data centers that are poisoning your water. So, it's doing you. It's fucking you
and that's the
hard.
thing, that's the point I was making too. Is just the evidence is in front of everybody's faces. These data centers, all the things that are happening around us, that is the only explanation is the destruction of our nation. I didn't mean to rhyme, but that's exactly what's going on, to a point that they're going to have some control in a way over us that we are not going to be able to do much about. And you look at what they're trying to do in Gaza, Mara Gaza. You know, Paula Zampoli was talking about Mara Gaza years ago before we even knew about it. It developed, and now to transition a little bit back to
Yep.
to that, I've had the privilege of gaining access to several dozen emails that were shared with Amanda Ngaro. Uh, Essentially, Paula Zampoli was very proficient at forwarding everything he shared to Amanda Ngaro, and it's very weird. I mean, but she basically has 20 years worth of emails.
A question for the class here. That does seem totally weird, but it just popped in my mind. Was that his way of implicating her in the future to everything he did?
I think to an extent it could have been, but I don't think he's smart enough. I
Well,
think,
but think like she knew about all of this. It is in her email.
yeah, but she never opened them. I mean, metadata will show. I mean, when she first told me several weeks ago that she had realized that she has these emails, she's like, I have so many emails. And she's like, Paula would send them to me, forward this stuff to me. And she's like, I never even opened them. I just never paid attention to any of them because they didn't mean anything to me. And so, like, literally, metadata will show that even though she may have possessed all of this, she never actually even was bothered by it. She never went into it to even know the information that was in there. So now,
Right, right.
and so what she's done is she shared what she feels is some relevant stuff. We haven't had the opportunity, and this is just the way that things are. She's got a lot going on in her life. I talk to her pretty much daily. Um, but sometimes it's hit and miss in terms of what we're talking about or sharing information. And I even told her recently, I said, I just need to come to Brazil so I can look at your computer and I'll figure it
Right.
out that way.
Yeah.
So, we can give me a ticket to Brazil. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I wonder what, I bet you ICE will be waiting for me either way.
Yeah, they ain't letting your ass back in, Tony.
And so anyway, so she sent us what she thought were relevant emails. I had asked her to find stuff that was relating to Russia, and I think we asked her to look for a couple other things. So we have several dozen emails, Becca and I, and we've been going through the emails, and they're various subjects about the Grenadian passports. And when Becca is finalizing Substack article as we speak that she's actually,
Like a day.
Becca Day is going to share.
And I will tag her in the bottom. I'll tag her TikTok and her YouTube and her Substack in the show notes below so that you guys can go look at that. Because if you are into this topic, I mean, between her and Tony, like, this is it. So,
Yeah, yeah, and so she's actually putting together like a follow up to the first Substack that we collaborated on, which had to do with initial emails that we got that were just Elaine and Paulo back and forth, and really diving into We Are the Oceans and the Terramar Project. These emails are kind of a step forward from that, where I think we're going to primarily discuss the uh, passports for sale because there's tons of emails. And the interesting thing, and I'll share just a little bit right now, because I know this isn't going to post until probably later or tomorrow, is Paula St. Poli literally was emailing people about the passport fraud, like literally aware of it and actually exposing it in a way that he even said that it's something to the extent of having, you know, wow, with all these CBI, which is citizen by investment passports from all these Caribbean nations, we're actually uncovering a ton of fraudulent information or even blackmail type of information is what I could tell from the email that he sent. Now, the thing that, and people are like, well, why aren't you just sharing the email? It just doesn't work that way, right? You know, one is Paula St. Poli's English is very broken. So a lot of times, just to understand the context, and another is he would write emails. And this is another revelation I'll share. Is he would write emails under the name of Amanda. So he would actually send emails under Amanda's name. So that
fraud.
yeah, and he would actually, and this drove me crazy, but he actually even in emails to like literal national dignitaries, presidents, prime ministers, he was using his son again, like we've seen over and over. And he's like, Giovanni says blah 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 blah, and this is blah 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 in these emails. And we have emails where literally these are emails from 2014. Giovanni was like 3 or 4 years old.
Like, he wasn't saying none of that shit, Paulo.
It just shows you what Paulo is and how he tries to manipulate things to his advantage. So Becca is finalizing this next follow up to this, and we'll be publishing it tonight on Substack. So that's something to watch out for or go look for once you do see this as well. So, but and there are emails. I keep going back to them because I'm like, I can't believe what I have in my.
There are emails. We are full circling back to her emails, except
Paulo
it's
and Melania.
his emails.
Paulo and Melania talking back and forth. There's an email where Paulo or Melania sends Paulo an email, says, "Hey, I tried to send a gift for Giovanni's birthday, and it was sent back because you're not there, because apparently this was when his diplomatic residence, Gramercy Place residence in New York City, was being renovated. So he was staying at an apartment somewhere else in New York City, and that's why when Melania tried to send a gift, it didn't go to the right place. So she sent Paulo an email, which I have, which is like, "Hey, where are you?" And the funny thing in the reply from Paulo is, Paulo's like, "I got to put my son's birthday on my Outlook calendar." Think about that. He's used his son for years. You can look at
It's a pawn to.
right now as a pawn, but way back then, years into his son's birthday, he didn't even know what date his son's birthday was.
And Melania.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, Melania sure didn't give a shit when Amanda was just sitting in ICE detention, did she?
Well, exactly, and and do I want to share?
I feel like you absolutely do.
I know, but I just don't know if it's right to share yet. So the story behind Melania was in ICE detention for 3.5 months. Think about that.
Amanda.
Amanda, I'm sorry. Amanda was in ICE detention for 3.5 months. Think about that. If you went into ICE detention today, you wouldn't be out of ICE detention until August, September, October, probably the beginning of November at earliest, if you were in ICE detention for 3.5 months. And ICE detention, as we know, we don't have any insight to except from stories that people tell us that have been in ICE detention, like Amanda has, and how
Or
horrible.
the death count. Or
Yes.
the screaming from outside that we can hear that Miss Rachel is recording and singing outside of these concentration camps. Keep
Well,
going.
and the thing is I just read something where these young ladies are pregnant or getting pregnant while in ICE detention because of the sexual abuse happening in there. And again, not trying to be sensational at all. You can look this shit up yourself online. Yes, and they're sex trafficking children, these girls, and they're actually placing these pregnant girls into a separate facility away from anybody else now. So, and they're not letting Congress members who have every right to show up and inspect a facility, they're not letting Congress members do that. So if that's going on and everything else that we've talked about is going on, when the fuck are you going to do something about it, people? And so anyway, I digress. But Melania was in ICE, or Amanda was in ICE detention for 3.5 months, and she had reached out to Melania. I had found out. Yes, I'm going to fucking share. Okay.
Fucking sure.
She actually didn't reach out directly to Melania as we had originally expected. She had reached out to somebody that was connected to Melania that she knew was in Melania's ear. That woman is Evie Kokolari. Evie Kokolari. Now, Evie Kokolari, when I first started writing about Paula Zimpoli, and when I started writing about Amanda and what was going on with her, Evie jumped into my comments on Twitter. I don't think you even know this story. Evie jumped into my comments on Twitter and she started like ripping me apart for talking about it, acting like I didn't know anything. She said, "Oh, I'm friends with Amanda, blah, 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 blah."
Are you?
It was Evie who Amanda was able to get in touch with, and she asked Evie to go to Melania and say, "Hey, what can you do to help Melania or Amanda get out of ICE detention?" And that's when Melania refused and did nothing. But Evie Kokolari has since blocked me after that conversation on Twitter, and she has no involvement with Amanda right now. There's one other thing I want to share right now, just because I'm feeling revelatory, and
Let it out.
it has to do with somebody else that I've had major issues with. I'm not going to share anything other than what I'm going to share right now about this so far. Is Victoria Drake has on her Instagram and her Twitter and on her Facebook, all her social medias, TikTok, she has continued to post a picture of herself in a text chat with Ashley St. Clair and Amanda Ungaro. And she posted it over and over. She's posted it for several weeks now, here and there on various social medias. And she's like, "Oh, the winning team. Oh, the Trinity. Oh," trying to really tout this thing. That conversation is non-existent. I know that as a fact. Amanda is not interested in going into that. I myself have actually told Amanda, "Stay away. You've got your own troubles. I would not get involved with Ashley St. Clair, regardless of whether Ashley's doing good stuff or bad stuff. It's just not worth it. Amanda's got enough on her plate. She didn't need to jump into that drama." I do know that Amanda was in direct contact with Ashley St. Clair separately. Um, but I know that nothing really came of that because they have, their own motivations and agendas. Victoria keeps trying to tout this as if there's some secret thing going on, and it's not, because Victoria continues to try to insert herself into things because she wants to be in the spotlight. That's all I'm going to say right now. And I have receipts to back it all up, and more than anybody can imagine.
And I think what we're seeing is a pattern, even with the Epstein files and all of this stuff coming out, there is a huge outpouring of people allegations of these things happening, which I truly believe 99.9% of them happened, you know, but people go quiet. People all of a sudden have brand new jewelry. Like, and we just like see little, and this is for like a lot of people that have come forward, and then all of a sudden their story changes. And I think we even saw that with Virginia Giuffre,
Yeah.
you know?
My thing, in my opinion, allegedly, whatever the fuck you want me to say, I think Trump paid her off himself.
Hey,
Was never a someone to speak ill of Trump himself, but she was definitely in the middle of everything that was going on. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her from Mar-a-Lago. That's just simple fact. That's how it went down. And but I think the reason she never spoke ill of Trump is because Trump paid her off, but it didn't stop her from still being able to go after the rest of them like she had. That's my
yeah, Andrew. He
and
wasn't paying off nothing for Andrew.
yeah. So the reality of this is, there's a lot of characters involved in a lot of these things. The stories are going to change. Their motivations are going to change. Their attitudes are going to change. I think going full circle back to Lindsey Graham is a great example of this. I mean, he was a super duper anti-Trump. Trump is a piece of shit. Literally, it's going to be the end of the GOP. He tweeted it most famously, and he'll destroy us. And here we are. But Lindsey was the farthest up Trump's ass at the end. Asphyxiation is what it is. Oh, that's my new word.
Fix it.
Asphyxiation.
Oh, well, hey, did you want to talk about what you found in the Jana newspaper
Oh yeah. So me.
or magazine?
I don't have a whole lot going on, so I decided yesterday just to start reading Slovenian articles from Jana magazine, which is the magazine that ran the contest in Slovenia in the early '90s for the top model type of contest, and Melania, like I think, placed second or third in that, and that's one of the things they tout as her being a supermodel in the past, even though there's zero evidence of her ever being anything even close to a model, let alone a supermodel, in the late '80s, early '90s, as she's touted openly. And I still have more that I've never shared with people that I will in time. That it's irrelevant, but it's more supporting evidence. One thing I would like to say before I go forward is, what I'm finding in these emails is it corroborates everything Amanda herself has said about what she's gone through. She's not making anything up at all. Her story's not changing. In fact, as I dig into stuff that she was even unaware of, it just makes her story that much more credible.
Right.
One of the things that I found, and again, I know I'm going off track, and remind me where we were in a second, but one of the things I found is on several interviews, Amanda has stated that there was one other couple that was always invited to every event at the White House or Mar-a-Lago for every holiday, because we know that Paula Zampoli and Amanda were invited to 4th of July, New Year's Eve, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of the major Easter, all of the major holidays. There's plenty of evidence showing that they attended everything. There's even a Washington Post uh, uh, newspaper picture showing that Amanda and Giovanni, their son, at the Easter egg roll, standing next to Melania and Trump. I mean, all of that's verifiable. But Amanda has said several times on several of her podcasts and interviews that there was one other couple that was always at the table, that was always invited to all of the same things, that sat at Trump's table with them, and no one knew who that couple was. Well, one of the emails that was shared with us, Paulo Zampoli actually lists everybody that was sitting at the table. He says, "Oh, the people that were there were," and it turns out that it was the Ruffins. Now, let me tell you. So, Mrs. Ruffin is a former Miss Universe contestant. Uh, in 2002, she was the contestant in Miss Universe for Ukraine, Miss Ukraine for Miss Universe. Okay. When she was 26 years old, which was probably right around 2002, she was introduced to Phil Ruffin. 72-year-old, and they got married. Okay, this is the couple that's always been, that is at every event at Trump's table. Now, Phil Ruffin owns 13 Marriott hotels in the South, mostly Texas. He also owns Treasure Island Casino in Las Vegas. Okay, and he's contributed millions to Trump's campaigns over the years, and they've been close friends for 2 decades at least, probably closer to three, if not more. And the 70s, well, now the guy's 80 and she's probably close to 40, are always invited to these events as well. Uh,
Dude, she's so pissed that he's not dead yet. She's like, I signed up for like 5 years, maybe. And I'm cleaning this fucking Foley bag and got,
they have 2 kids.
Okay, that still doesn't mean they had to have sex, okay?
So anyway, so yes, so the Ruffins are the couple that are.
I'd like someone to do a deep dive on them if any of our, listeners are feeling, bored and have some extra time.
What was the subject we were on before I went?
Jana Magazine.
Oh, so yesterday I didn't have a whole lot of time and didn't know what else.
Super casual.
I just decided to look at Slovenian articles from Jana Magazine. And what I do is I always go back to the oldest of them. It didn't automatically translate, so I had to find a way to translate things easily, which I did. And then I just started going through old articles from Jana Magazine, looking for anything having to do with Melania that we didn't know. One thing that became clear is Slovenia does not like Melania Trump. They do not like her at all. They do think she was a Russian plant, essentially. There's articles that they talk about. Jana Magazine talked about it. And, another thing that I think I brought up on a previous podcast was the fact that Jana Magazine apparently had produced an article in 1991 saying that Melania had a son named Lorenz. Did I ever tell you about Lorenz? I don't even know. I told you. Shit, I never told you about. So Lorenz, so in 1990.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Okay.
It was in the group chat. You're right.
And this article did not come out until the early 2000s when Melania was with Trump. And what the article said was, or what I found said, that the article was quickly retracted because Trump paid them millions to do so. Okay. Again, I'm a good digger, but I haven't found anything else on that, so I can't, other than what I just corroborate it. But we do know the Brina stuff.
Okay, wonder if they were twins.
I don't think so. I mean, it's possible. I'll dig into that a little bit. But the one thing in the article, it actually says that they changed the name of the names to protect identity. So I don't know if Lorenz was the name. And, one of the things I've also pointed out having to do with Paula Zampoli, I'm the one that broke the Brina Now story. I mean, whether it's a story or not. And even if it's a non-issue and she's not the daughter of Melania, it's good for her because it's given her press. And, she has acknowledged it. She has acknowledged the story. She posted, I can't find it, but somebody shared it with me. She posted something on one of the platforms saying, it showed her a picture of her with a man and a woman who she says are her parents. And the comment was, or the quote there was, my dad, Jeffrey, and my mom, Melania. So she's well aware of the story. Okay. I wish I could find that. Because somebody shared it with me, and I can't find it to this day. But she acknowledged it. But that's still not enough. And the reason I think is because just because they raised you doesn't necessarily mean they're your parents. And based off the information I've seen, there's still a lot of question about it. And there's this man in New York that's an artist that recently I've written about who. In late 70s, Jeffrey Epstein was engaged apparently to this woman, Aunt Littman or something. And in 1985, which is the same year that Brina was born, this woman, so maybe the twin thing is not necessarily off. Now, holy shit, we're having revelations as we speak. So
sorry.
this woman had a son apparently, and the son grew up. He's an artist in New York City who was in. He's mentioned in the Epstein files, from what I understand. And Jeffrey had a very specific interest in his upbringing. And when you look at a picture, and I have it posted on my feed, it might be hard to find because got a lot of shit there now, to say the least. He looks like Becca actually has it on her.
Yes.
Because she actually talked about it, and he looks like Jeffrey Epstein and Melania, just like Brina looks like Jeffrey Epstein and Melania. So I'm gonna have to revisit one thing.
Well, and the reason I say that is because a lot of these, I know I always go on my, bloodline family situations, secret societies and stuff. They will impregnate these bloodline family. They like for their first children to be a set of twins, and then they break them up. And it's part of their the mind splitting is breaking them up. That's like their first trauma is being separated from their twin and losing their parents.
Well, and going back to looking at this specifically is the young man became a well-known artist within that industry, and one of the things I pointed out is the surprise success of Brina Naus in various capacities.
Yeah, it is very hard for DJs to break through.
Yeah, and she was born in Slovenia. I was telling my dad this earlier, and she's she was born a half hour away from where Melania grew up. But in that
Right.
region or in that nation, a lot of times you'll probably live a half hour away from the closest hospital, and uh, the United States is becoming that for maternity wards. I think
It's absolutely like that where I live, dude.
you know that now. We're seeing more and more. I think Iowa just closed another two hospitals or stopped doing maternity in those hospitals, which makes these people have to go farther out from where they live. So this was happening in Slovenia. And, that's where Brina was born, 30 minutes from Melania, where Melania grew up. But, Slovenia borders Austria. And in the mid 80s, one of the things that was found during the Jeffrey Epstein raid was a passport of Jeffrey Epstein's with a alias,
Gosh,
an Austrian passport,
yep, I
and
remember that.
his home address was actually in Saudi Arabia. But
Yep.
there's so much with that. We're not going to go that. But so,
Well,
a lot of what we're talking about, none of this is out of the question. And we know
we're just throwing out ideas here.
Jeffrey has an affinity for 15-year-old Eastern European girls. I mean, he bought one.
Yeah.
He bought one.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Looks like
There are multiple ones that he bought up in those files.
yes.
Maybe one of them became a lampshade, which is so fucking gross.
And that I know we're getting close to the end here. Is that's what people need to understand. None of this is sensational. We're not on here because we just want to beat
No.
shit up. We're sharing the shit that nobody else is sharing, including our mainstream media. We're sharing the stuff that you should all be paying attention to and pull your heads out of your asses, because it's not going to be us that fixes everything. It's not going to be our leaders that fixes anything. It's going to be you and all of us, because we finally fucking realize nobody's coming to save us.
Well, yes, absolutely. And like, if I, okay, again, I'm learning that other people don't operate like this, but if I know something, I have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just trying to get the most amount of people to know something and hope that they have that same spark inside them. But I was sadly disappointed after them Epstein files. But again, still, people are in their own echo chambers, okay?
Yes.
They have no idea anything is fucking going on until they go to the grocery store. And that is how I want to end this episode. Y'all, we have no functioning CDC, FDA, any of those fucking regulatory. They're not working, okay? We have Brainworm in charge of shit. He doesn't believe. He's like, he takes my ivermectin. It's all good. Bleach your ass, whatever. Well, you're going to want to bleach your ass after there is a parasite that is going around. And I don't know if they're talking about it on the news yet, but I've seen it on social media nonstop. Okay. And guys, it is, if you've heard my Mexico shitting my husband's boxer story, it is the same. It's the same fucking situation, okay? People are shitting everything. They're shitting everything. They're eating and shitting. It's coming right out after they eat it, okay? And it is lasting on average about a month
Mm.
without antibiotics, okay? And Bactrim is the only thing that's getting rid of it. And when I tell you, you do not want to shit your husband's boxers, you don't. So, but the main things that it's on is strawberries, raspberries, any bagged lettuce, and washing it doesn't kill it. You have to cook it. And green onions. Those are the ones that I've heard. So, unless you want to shit the bed, don't
Think,
eat that shit.
actually, I'm
Oh, you
no,
you hadn't heard of that?
I'd heard of that, but I hadn't heard the specific item.
Yes, yes. And I've always been super weary about bagged lettuce anyways. Like they're telling me they triple wash that shit with porta potty water. I don't trust y'all asses. So, yeah, so but like no one there's again, it's another place where no one is here to save us. So if you have choices to maybe start your garden for so you got something in the winter time or, farmers markets, let's support our local people. And sorry, Tony, I know you're in the
Nope,
grocery store business, but for those things, maybe let's try to, or don't eat them like me. I don't eat fruit.
no, and I agree 100%. I am in that business, but it's not my concern. My concern is the people's health. I don't give a shit. But I work in a corporate business that, they still are making billions of dollars a year. And
Well, hey, Tony's concern is your husband's boxers, okay?
yes, I mean, trust me. I mean, somebody literally shit themselves in
In box.
the store and they shit across the store because the bathroom was on the other end of the store. And
Well, if you see an uptick of that, let me know because
so anyway, on that note,
okay. Well, don't shit the bed, Tony. Well, thanks for listening today, guys. Hopefully it wasn't the most shitty conversation ever. I mean, we did start out with Lindsay and Ladybugs. Have a good afternoon. Bye.